everyone, hope you're all well out there. Today's reading is going to be Where on Earth Will Your Soul Thrive? I'm going to thank Brittany, whose real name isn't Brittany. I always call her Brittany and I think it's Brittany. But I'm sure it's spelled Brittany, for this suggestion. Before I start, can I just say there was a little post on YouTube last night from the Leo King, and he just seemed really sad, as if he just sort of hit a wall in some way. So if you ever watch him, just go there. Even if not, go over and give him a bit of love. Seemed a bit like Aslan on the table to me, and we all need a bit of a hug sometimes. Right then, so where on earth will your soul thrive? You've got three choices. You've got pile number 1, which is the Jupiter Sagittarius principal pile. You've got pile number 2, which is the Mercury Libra influence pile. And you have got pile number 3, which is the Jupiter Capricorn control pile. If you want to take your choice, then we'll get going. Pile number 1. I'm going to get started. I am going to tell you the truth. I did actually, I've had this pile out once already today, and then because my battery kept failing, I've got 2 batteries, but they were both very low because I've just come back from being away. I kept the cards aside and I've started with the same cards. So I have some insight or thoughts about your spread already. This is what I picked up the first time round. You've got Jupiter at the top. You've got the Lenormand cards. You've got the Rider here. There's a feeling here of, and with a little stalk here, of travel overseas, and it feels as if it's like a holiday place. It feels as if there's somewhere in your mind that possibly you may have visited before. The reason I say that, down here you've got the 2 of Pentacles as well, which is the Mobius strip. I don't know how to say that one. So it feels like somewhere you've been before, with the roots of the tree here. It feels like somewhere that you're drawn to, that you possibly have been on holiday and it felt good and it feels right. There's also an open air feeling about this, with the horse and the tree as well. So it could be somewhere where you could even very obviously ride a horse through the woods. Or you could basically like walking the dog. It's that type of animal and outdoorsy feel about it. Travel overseas feels quite strong as well, because there's 2 reasons for that. Oh yeah, you've got here the stalk, and you've got, what was the other reason? Oh no, it's different reading. Bless me, different reading altogether. But the stalk is flying away. You know, it could be travel overseas, but I thought there was something to back that up, but there's not. Now, the other thought that I had when I looked at these cards was not only a sort of good fortune feel, especially with the stalk there, you know, that could be actually coming into money or buying some property or being able to rent something that's normally out of your economic zone in some way. But there was also a feeling here that if you get what you want, it's going to be tough work, or you have to work hard before you get it. But it does feel like it almost meets halfway. It's like you're lucky. You get more than you think you possibly could normally grasp, and it's hard work, or you work hard and something or somebody helps you out to get that extra part of the way. There's a feeling here of freedom. There's a feeling here of familiarity, roots and freedom involved. So it's like going back to somewhere that you are familiar with, but it feels open, it feels nice, and it feels exciting. It feels like repetition, though. It feels like you have been there before. The King of Wands down here, especially with the 4 of Swords behind it. These 2 are stuck together when I first got these cards out. But this I took as being very much a feeling over here with the 5 of spray cans, which is the 5 of Swords, and the Chariot card, of it being tough before you get there, but a real sense of adventure once you make the move. To me, this whole pile feels like somebody who has something in mind already. It's like moving back to where you grew up, or moving back to somewhere where you've been on holiday a few times. And it feels like freshness, starting something new. And it feels like the fortune card there as well, next to these hard-working cards here. It and I think I've said this already, it feels like in fortune favours the brave type of feeling here. I think that you possibly need a combination of outside stimulation, of being somewhere where there's things to do, even if it is outdoorsy feel here. It feels like you don't want to be too shut off, but it also feels like it's like a Cancer sort of Sagittarius feel, where there needs to also be some sort of connection there. Something's gone on before you can connect your emotions to this place in some way. There could be some connection with family there already. Really strong feeling of you flying somewhere, landing somewhere and feeling at home there. It's like you've been there before, and it's the feeling of somebody outside walking with dogs, with family, moving around, and it feels like a holiday. It feels like that type of place that you go to. It feels like a treat, and you feel like it's out of your grasp in some way, and then something happens that makes it feel possible, because it's got that Sagittarius, happy-go-lucky, fantastic, big luck feeling about it. But I do think it almost has a feeling here with the Chariot and the Five of Spray Cans of fortune. I take that more as fortune than karma, to be honest. But then that's when the hard work starts. You've got the little boy pulling the rickshaw here, and you've got the little boy here almost declaring war in some way. It's like you have to attack something. So there's a feeling here of renovation as well. I've had a couple of people say that they've bought property in France or somewhere, which is, fantastic thought, very romantic, very exciting, which it definitely is, but there's also the hard work that goes with it, and this pile feels like that. Familiarity, excitement, an extra shove, an extra hand to pull you up somewhere, and then it being hard work. And I don't know whether the hard work comes beforehand or afterwards, to be honest. Now, what you're going to gain from this move, I think, is almost like opening up of opportunities. It feels a little bit, especially with the Two of Pentacles here, with the little ants going around the same strip. And this is the card for what you're going to get when you move there. The main advantage of moving there is opportunities to me. It feels like, you've got your head down, you're going around and doing the same thing. God, don't we feel like this at times? And then it turns into having lots of different choices. Do you know, somebody told me last week, I was standing on the beach talking to, this isn't somebody, this is my sister-in-law. I was trying to keep it anonymous, but I'm not very good at that. And she was talking about her sister, who was a headmistress and had worked in a really tough school in Manchester for a gazillion years, and then was like the headmistress in a different school, and didn't know when to leave, but she had enough. She knows a headmistress, I think, is a difficult job, so she wanted to go and do art therapy. Couldn't get a place on the where she wanted to go, so she was supposed to apply about April time. Handed the keys into the school, which I think was August time, and the next day the art therapy course, somebody must have cancelled. They contacted her to say there was a place open there. This is what this feels like. It feels like all the things that you think aren't possible, soon as you change your state of mind and possibly hear movement, lucky movement, it's like everything starts opening up. It's like when you go on holiday and you almost become another person. It's not like hiding from yourself. It's more a case of just being your best self. It's a case of, we've all got cruddy bits and lovely bits. And it's a case of just recognising your lovely bits more and almost shoveling the cruddy bits at the bottom shelf in the bedroom cupboard. Opportunistic, this feels like. It feels like, it's a good opportunity, and it's a combination of fun, excitement, and outdoorsy. So where on earth will your soul thrive? To me, to answer that question, it feels like somewhere where you have already been on holiday, or there's connection here. With the Roots card here and the tree, it feels like familiarity. There's a feeling of outdoorsy feeling with both the rider, I was going to say horsey then, with the horse and the tree. So there could be feels, where you feel open, you feel like you can move in nature, and there's also a possibility of it being overseas as well. There's a stork, which I keep wanting to say flamingo, because I'm just looking at his legs. Nice feeling. But tough work, either before you go or after you go. But you will, I guess here, and fingers crossed, get some sort of assistance in some way. And I don't know whether that's in a way, the fortune card there, where somebody helps you or something happens where there's an opportunity that you didn't think was there before, like some property comes up or something for rent, or a friend asks you to go and stay, that type of feeling. So it feels good. This the sea feeling here doesn't feel like the place is by the sea because of these two cards here. So that to me just feels like a journey with the stork there. But it feels to me like by moving and opening yourself to this new opportunity, it opens up so many other doors. That's probably what that Sagittarius feel is. And Sagittarius, especially when it's combined with Scorpio, because they're quite focused and they also like to take chances, they tend to open up opportunities, and other people watch them doing it. They think that's not possible, that's not going to happen, and they do it, and it's like, okay. You start thinking when you watch people like that almost anything's possible. It's just changing your mindset, and this is what this feels like. It feels like a jump when you jump off a cliff in a little bit of a way, just a little bit. But it feels like it's the right thing to do because it changes your mindset, and you start pulling different situations towards you, different people towards you that are more open, more Sagittarius, more happy-go-lucky, more adventurous. You've got the King of Wands down here as well. Let me put some more cards over that one at the end. Yeah, you got the Fool over it. So that's basically what we're talking about. And I just said jumping off a cliff. It's like jumping off a cliff and everything else opens up. You don't know what to choose because it feels like, sometimes when you're doing the same thing year after year after year, and then something changes, it's like everything opens up. Just as I said with the lady who's a headmistress here. So to sum that up, where on earth will your soul thrive? I think it would be somewhere not so much by the sea. It'd be somewhere that you've been before, somewhere where there might actually be a family connection, but somewhere outdoorsy. Sagittarius, oftentimes they work outdoors, like people who, like forestry commission, that type of thing. And you've got horses here. It feels like there's animals involved, there's possibly a family connection, and it just feels like familiar fun that pushes you outside your comfort zone, and it's the right thing to do. Okay, pile number one, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you very much. Bye. Hi, pile number two. I'm just looking at the Lenormand meanings because to me this feels extremely strong that where you're going to settle down or where your soul will actually thrive has got something to do with men. It doesn't have to be husband, boyfriend material, but it could be possibly somebody like brother or uncle or dad. There's a feeling of familiarity and stability here. You've got the tree with the roots here, you've got the house here, and you've also got the Four of Wands here. So this is a very strong feeling of where you will thrive may possibly be where you already are. Or if not, it's connection with it's family, I think. There's family or a loved one here, and it's male. You've got the Six of Cups down here as well, and you've got the house here. I mean, the Six of Cups in the house to me, I think you know where this is because it feels like home to me. It just feels like Cancer. It feels sweet. It feels like somewhere where you've grown up. There's possibly been a very strong masculine influence, but it feels positive. It feels like there's roots there. It feels like there's stability there. It feels like a lot's gone down there. The Eight of Pentacles here making me think of work. You've shared times together. It's when you've both built a relationship. It's somewhere where you've both built a relationship. And the Mercury in Libra here, again, is a couple. It's a couple, it's communication and it's decisions, and I think it's deciding to do with relationships. Where you're probably the happiest has got something to do with where your heart lies and where there's a particular person that you feel drawn to. I think it has to be male, to be honest. Sometimes with tarot cards I swap them the other way around, but there's one male and one female here. How to get there, how to get to somewhere that I think is very familiar, that makes you feel happy. You've got the Judgment card and the Papa of Brushes, so that's the Dad of Wands there. So it very much could be the Dad of Wands. To me, it speaks of a transitionary period where you may actually return to home, or you may return to somebody who is familiar to you, possibly a male figure with the Papa of Brushes and the Judgment card here. The Two of Brushes, you may be in the process at this very moment of thinking about it. What you actually get from moving there, or from this place where you possibly will live, is a sense of, I guess, let me put some more cards on there. I was going to say mental ease, because you've got the Eight of Swords there, which is anxiety. But with this card here, the bear's actually coming out of the water. So it's feeling as if, you know, sometimes when you're in situations or you move places and you feel like you're always pushing. It feels like, and sometimes we do that, especially like in our late teens, early 20s, we move out of our home area so that we can experience new things. But I wonder, with this card, the Eight of Swords being the end card of what you actually get out of moving, is a feeling of possibly lessening mental anxiety and self-acceptance in some way. It just feels like, you know, Forrest Gump, when Jenny goes home and he looks after her, it feels like that. Because there could be some sort of angst here with this card at the end and what you actually get out of it. So I'm trying to think of that positivity. If this is where your soul thrives, it's like you must be coming out of the water and moving away from that. Yeah, and it's like you gain some sort of... this is normally like inner confidence, I think. But it's inner confidence as in almost stopping battling demons. It's like returning home and it feeling good. It's like soup when you get home on a cold day. And I have a feeling here you're all watching this thinking, no, I'm not doing that. But that is what I'm getting. It's familiarity, it's relationships, it's relating, it's roots, it's steadiness, it's history, it's work that's already been in process where you've worked together, it's familiarity, and it feels like love, like a love bond as well. There's what it feels like some sort of healing to get there. It may almost be returning home, but it feels like there's a strong masculine figure near you or around you that possibly helps you reboot and heal it, as I just said, in some way here. There's no feeling here, you know, I'm trying to look at particular places. There's no feeling here. You know, sometimes you get mountains, or sometimes you get the sea, and there's not really. There's a couple of water pictures down here, but to be honest, I'm getting it from these three here. And to me, it's emotional connections, it's roots, and it's home. Somewhere where you were possibly born, or near where you were born, or somewhere that you've lived in your life that you've felt good because you felt an emotional connection there. There's too much stability, there's too much nostalgia, there's too much work gone on in some relationship that has laid the basis for where your soul will be happiest. And you possibly, the Two of Brushes here and the Judgment card and the Papa of Brushes here, you may all, you know, with this card in particular, and the Two of Brushes always makes me think of things that are in your head but haven't actually started rolling. And this guy, you know, you may be, he's throwing the globe over into the water, you may be away from home and thinking of going back. So there may be travel overseas to get there, but there's a really strong feeling of sweetness, nostalgia, familiarity, and feeling content inside yourself, and almost like releasing the push of life a little bit. Not like giving up hope, but actually gaining more confidence for actually, I suppose, recognising that we can't change ourselves from where we moved to. It's like, you know, we just take ourselves with us, don't we? Bad moods and all, or positivity and all, you know, that's us. So to sum that up, pile number 2, where will your soul thrive? Somewhere that you already have lived, possibly somewhere where there's a connection with somebody you feel very close to, somewhere where you have roots and somewhere that feels like home, somewhere that makes you feel warm inside when you think about it, somewhere where there possibly has been a lot of energy put into making a relationship work or a family unit work, and you may possibly be abroad or somewhere different from where you're thinking about right now. It's like coming home to roost. It doesn't have to be where you've grown up. It's like going to something familiar that makes you feel smoothed out inside. It's almost like you stop. This is a positive thing, which won't sound positive. It's almost like you just stop pushing or stop trying, and you think, okay, let's just go on with it. And that could be positive because you stop trying to prove things to yourself and to others, and you're just happy with who you are at this very moment, which is quite valuable, really, I suppose. Anyway, pile number 2, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you for spending time with me. Bye-bye. Okay, pile number 3. There's a feeling of pile number 1 and pile number 2 almost being, you know, stuck together in pile number 3 here, because there's a feeling here of a masculine quality. It doesn't have to be a man, but there's something about competitiveness or masculinity. It could be a male figure here as well, with the control feeling at the top with Jupiter and the Capricorn. Strong male influence. There's a feeling here of having to work and push. And it feels like there's a sense of ease after struggle, which is a bit similar to pile number 1, because you've got here lucky clover, you've got here the moon, and you've got the whip. So I'm thinking of there's a strong feeling here of where your soul will thrive. You almost have to push to, you know, to keep your house in some way. So that could be a possibility. It's like helping hands. It makes me think of, because this feels like masculine qualities. This feels like strife. With this moon here, I'm thinking confusion. I'm thinking like nighttime activities. What I was going to say with this, you know, there could be, I don't know with the moon there. Let me just put the moon to the side there. I'm going to keep looking at it. It feels like you have to push for something. It's almost like you could get a helping hand in a difficult situation. The Wheel of Fortune and the Hierophant together, you know, especially these 2 pictures here. And the Four of Wands is stability. So I'm thinking here, the best place for you is possibly somewhere where you have to struggle to get it. And it feels like it may not be yours, but you're almost pushing against something. It feels like with the whip and the control here that you're having to push against a situation, possibly working extremely hard. You've got the 3 of stencils and you've got the Brother of stencils here and the Strength card. To me, that's possibly working as part of a team. That feels like you're selling your soul at times, which we all do in work. Not this work, in my work, anybody's work. And the Strength card is having to just stick it and be tough on yourself. And then what you get out of it is the Judgment card here. So the Judgment card is like coming out of the water and thinking, got there, did it. It feels like one of those films where people struggle all the way through the film. It's not until our last scene, it's like happiness. It's like got there. Now the moon amongst all that. I mean, that might give you a clue. I mean, I'm thinking like casinos as well with this, the clover and the moon. It means like nighttime activities that are lucky. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, you can't not say that. You've got control here. You've got a whip. You've got nighttime activities and luck. Oh, luckily, I've got to change my battery, so I'm not going to go into that. I have actually got a an old tarot book that I bought in Australia years and years ago, around 30 years ago, and these cards came up. I think it was a moon and something else, normal tarot cards. And this guy was saying, well, you could work at night. And there was a financial card there as well. I think, well, you could work at night. And the lady actually said, yeah, no, I'm a sex worker. This may have a totally different feeling. It possibly could be a feeling of doing bar work, that type of thing, or a job where you're working evenings to make ends meet, because you have got the Buddha of stencils there and the Three of stencils and strength. So you could be working evenings to try and maintain some sort of equilibrium in your life. And then I think it feels like pushing and pushing and pushing. It feels like you get your peace at the end of, it feels like a struggle. The place that you're going to end up in and finally feel this is it, may, a bit like pile number 1 and 2, feel like a struggle. This is a tougher struggle. This is like a struggle with relationships or with a particular job, I think. So that's why I'm sort of thinking maybe divorce. You may end up in the family home, or that's the point. It could actually be with control there. It could be like family property, going back to mum and dad's place or something like that. Let me see, because this is quite a difficult read. Something lucky, something to do with evenings, nighttime, something to do with self-flagellation. It feels like a dominating character in here, and the last well, spread 2 was a bit of a male influence. This it doesn't matter if it's male or female, I don't think, and this one could be, but it feels like somebody dominating. So this could also be as well that you get out of your family home where you may feel restricted. So it doesn't have to be staying. Let me put some more. Having to be, yeah. Oh, this has a feeling, there's many different possibilities here, but you've got the Sun over the Judgment card and the Page of Pentacles. What I'm thinking, and these are possibilities, that you could be in a situation where you feel restricted at the moment, and it's almost like you can move with your child, possibly here with the Sun and the Page of Pentacles, and it's like a new release. And there's a feeling here where you're most happy is the next place that you move to, just because you have a sense of self and freedom. And it feels as if everything smooths out, a bit like pile number 2 inside yourself, that it just feels like the best place on earth. It's like the day after you're sick. When you're sick and you're there, and apparently I'm the loudest person on earth being sick. I wake the whole family up, I shout when I'm sick. But the next day is so beautiful. It's like a cup of tea after you've had babies, isn't it? This is what this pile feels like. It feels like you're ready to move. It feels like life, you've been putting the effort in. I don't know whether it's financially putting the effort in or putting the effort in with relationships, and it feels as if you get a lucky break in some way. Somebody helps you out and then you start feeling stable. So I can't actually tell you where on earth your soul will be happy. This, to me, these cards aren't telling me a particular place, and these are the ones I put out to give me more information for a particular place. The first 2 piles, it was easy. This is, to me, is more of a state of mind. It feels as if there's movement from something where you feel like you're struggling, and possibly the next place that you get to, or it's the process that will give you the insight that this is the place for you. It's because it's like a release. It is like a release. Then bit by bit, if you haven't got children, it's like bit by bit. The Page of Pentacles is small, practical things. It's like renovating your house. It's like making it your own house, making it home, sorry. And the Sun is everything, a bit like pile number 2. Everything starts feeling youthful and fun and excitement. And pile 2 is like opportunities. This is just opening up. This is like opening up to opportunities rather than being presented by them. It's like an inside, you changing inside, which goes really nicely with the strength. So there's a sense of pride here as well, possibly. A couple of these piles feel like you have to work really hard to get to that place that makes you feel relaxed and safe, which is a strange feeling, not what I was expecting. Pile number 1, not so much. It feels like you work on renovating the house. So this one may have that. but not quite the same feeling. This has got more of a financial struggle or more of an emotional struggle to get there. Why will your soul feel like you're thriving? It feels like a release. It feels like being a child again. It feels like that cup of tea after you've had babies. It feels like after what feels like a struggle. It feels like winning the lottery in some way. You've got Strength card, you've got the Sun card, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. It's like you're just at the bottom here and then you're just about to go to the top. It's like being on a Ferris wheel and you're just on the way up, and then when it hits you know that you're there, but there does feel like control issues moving away from you. That may be part of the process. So where on earth will your soul thrive? Where you feel independent. There'll be a place that you feel independent. You'll know it's the right place because you'll feel lucky to be in there. There may possibly be something to do with having to work nights. I don't know what else to say there, because there's a feeling here of working hard, and the Moon card there. Let me just check what else the Moon card could be. Hold on. Yeah, of course, there's that feeling, I should know this, there's that feeling of possibly moving to somewhere by the water. There's possibly a feeling of, I'm guessing it's struggle to do with a romantic partner, maybe actually being released from that, because this is like coming out of the water, and you've, as I've said earlier, you've got the Saturn and the Jupiter, which is masculine, and you've got the whip here, and it feels lucky, and it feels like somebody helps you. So this is more telling you the process, isn't it? Okay. Your soul will thrive where you feel as if it's like sun issues here with the moon, and it's like you move away from, I guess, a pattern of dominant masculine figures. This is what I'm thinking here with the moon below. You may move somewhere that's by water. You'll feel extremely lucky to get there, but for some reason it feels like a refuge, and I don't know why. Not an actual refuge, but it feels like you have to work to get there. I can't get away from this feeling that there's like children involved, and why do I feel like it's an escape? What is it in here that's telling me it's just an escape? Sorry, this is bugging me. I'm going to have to... It's the whip. It's the whip, it's the Hierophant, and the Jupiter here. It's making me think of control. The stability here as well. And then there's the Wheel of Fortune when things start moving, perhaps a helping hand. It feels tough with the Brother of Stencils here. Will work for idiots. Three of Stencils, once again, makes me think hard work where you may not be appreciated or feel like you're just chugging away all the time. And it's almost like you start coming into your own with the Strength card and Judgment. And then you've got the Sun and the Page of Pentacles at the end, and making me think of children, family, moving with family, and it being like this feels like, I didn't expect it to, it feels like a shift from control. It could be a work situation where you feel like you're bound to it, the place that you will feel, or a relationship where you feel like you're bound to it. There's a lot of masculine feel about this, so I don't actually interpret that as men, but as a situation where with the control and the whip, that somebody's oppressing you, and the place that you get to will feel like freedom. And that will be the place where your soul thrives, where you're independent, where you don't have anybody telling you what to do so much. It feels like, you possibly could be doing just, something that is just like evening work, not like having to, which I don't mean just like evening work, short hours. No disrespect for people doing evening work. I'm just sort of thinking, filling a few hours in. There's no disrespect there at all for people doing, I've done it myself. It just feels like release, and it feels like it doesn't really matter where you are. There is the feeling of water there. It feels like stability and freedom. So where on earth will your soul thrive? This is honestly, wherever I lay my hat is my home. It's what it feels like. It feels like there's no particular place with your name on it anywhere. It feels like it's a inward journey to releasing something, moving away from something that feels oppressive, whether it's a work situation or a commitment that you don't feel like you want to be committed to anymore. And it's that freedom and it's that ability to just look after yourself and your own that is the most beautiful place on earth. And I'm going to leave that there because that was quite a struggle. Okay, thank you very much for spending time with me. Bye.